Hey, guess what? Welcome to Chasing the Cool, the podcast. We have Comfort Club here. Colin Tracey. And dude, this sweatshirt right here, I have one. I wanted to wear it. I've been dying to wear this. I got it just to wear it for this moment because I've been waiting in this for a long time. But you're that. He came in with the hoodie on.
The hood on.
That's what this guy does.
I don't think people under the age of 30, their core temperature doesn't go up like menopause.
So I can't, but I have one. And already I'm just going to tell you guys, go to comfortclubmusic.com and check out the merch. He's got kick-ass merch. I love it. Like I said, I had to get mine. It's got the tour dates on the back, and it said, support him and get him through the tour that we're going to tell you about. So I had to do that. I don't know if it helped.
It helped for sure.
I know it might have bought you
it's
one.
Funny. It bought
me talk about.
It bought me talk about.
Might be three extra people ordering after they watch this. Our 10 followers. It's going to be great.
So, hey, this is, for those that have been watching this, if you saw the last show, this was our first summer studio show that we did outside. And we're like, this is badass because we got a little breeze going. It was hot as hell today, so we said we're going to do this a little bit later, so we waited for the sun to go down. But we're feeling good. We got good lighting. We got some breeze. And we always start out with what we call cool down, which is a little cocktail for us. This guy, he's a good guy here. He's better than us.
He's got too much talent to waste.
He has a little mocktail hiding behind the back here. So he's staying primed up, so he's going to have to steer us through this. But Ryan got a little gift based on the fact that you moved on to your new job we've talked about. Tell us about what you're having.
I love gifts. Well, we decided we're having a big show today. We have a third person on the show.
Right.
Whenever that happens, it's a good time. We got someone that's really, really on fire right now in the music scene. So I busted out the 1942 Don Julio. I got this actually as a gift. My employees knew me well. I was just telling Colin, I wound up with like 5 bottles of tequila on the way out. But they got me this 1942, signed the box, gave me some little lovey messages. I love the one. It's like, this won't last one night, but cheers to quality of life at home.
One episode.
Yeah, one episode.
And I'm glad I could benefit from you getting these.
You can thank Colin for showing up.
Because guess what? He's had this for 3 episodes, never brought it out. But Colin's here, so he said, I'm bringing the 42.
For someone special.
But he doesn't drink. It's weird. So anyway, but hey, so that
survived Father's Day.
It did.
Yes, it did.
It did. I went from the bottom up. I started with the low end ones and went from the bottom up. But no, we're super excited to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for
having you on. They tuned me into you. A while back, probably a month and a half ago. I started kind of following. He was talking about it, watching. I know you guys have a connection. But what you're doing, I was listening on the way over here again. We'll get into all that, but I mean, the sounds are super nostalgic for even me. I hear Morrissey, I hear, these guitar throws that have this Smithsy, Cure all the way up to Gavin DeGraw and Jason Mraz and all these guys. Those are the nostalgic, really incredible kind of sonic pop music that we listen to.
That's a cool era.
Fall right on.
I guess that's a long era, but both of those eras that you mentioned are both cool and both definitely things I draw from. Yeah.
And so you just did a 14-show tour?
Yeah.
So tell us about this. So again, follow him at Comfort Club. His whole vibe, everything he does. I love your humor on top of it. I'm going to talk about that later.
Thank you.
I'm a big part of that. So there's so many dynamics.
You're saying I got that from you.
Yes, of course. Yeah. But so your artistry, everything that you do. I mean, I know you have a background in creating content, doing social marketing. We have similar, diverse in that. So let's talk about the tour that you just did. You just finished up along with the debut album. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So should I be looking at this camera?
I want you to be all over the place, super confused. But yes, let's do this one, and mostly pay attention to our beautiful live audience.
I know.
In the background.
I was gonna say
it is here. Shout out to the first ever live audience.
There we go.
We had some people in the background last week. They could give a crap that they were here. They were just throwing stuff at us and splashing.
Some repeat members.
This time they're pretending.
Some people
learn their lesson.
Tell us about the FOMO Tour. Let's go.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I started making this album, I would say in March of last year, and finished it sometime in October. And I was like, well, I want to promote each one of the singles, because in music there's this concept called a waterfall release, where you put out one song and then the next month you put out the next song to create a waterfall.
Yep.
And in doing that, I was like, well, what if I do sort of a waterfall tour concept where I play a release show for each one of the singles that comes out. Awesome. So I was like, I'm going to do San Diego, I'm going to try to do Salt Lake, Nashville, Chicago, and New York. Awesome. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to go out and play one show, I can't just play one show there. It's just not even financially the right move. So I was like, well, I'll just make an entire tour around each different weekend of the release shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
Easy.
No big deal. Just make a quick little tour.
little tour ditty.
So instead of playing like one show in each spot, I try to play as many as I could in that weekend. So I would do like 4 or 5 show weekends, starting on like a Wednesday night, play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
you booking
Saturday,
yourself?
Sunday. Booking myself, yeah.
Jeez.
And then the way that my band works right now, I have different drummers and different players in each kind of region of the country. So for the Midwest, I have a drummer who played the 8 shows we played
And how do
there,
you
and
find
then
these people?
Yeah.
Just through the internet. The internet is a crazy place.
It's beautiful. I mean,
So many-
You like to play the drums? You're coming with me.
amazing. And again, I'm assuming that, like myself, the social media and the marketing and being in that and having understanding of that helps you a ton on top of this to be able to understand how to even
100%.
do that, to reach out and have those resources.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so the drummer who played with me in the Midwest, I actually met in college. We hung out one time in college, like I was only at that school for a semester anyways. But yeah, then like years later, I was like we stayed in touch through the internet again, through social media. And then I was just like, oh, I need a drummer. And like, he's from the Midwest. He was super cool. Like, I think we're going to get along. And then we just planned it and did some shows. And the first time I played with him was actually October of last year. We did like 3 shows together. And it went so well that when I was planning this, I was just like, I got a drummer on lock. I don't even have to think about it.
So cool.
And
The drummer's the hardest
drummer can be
thing.
the hardest
It's like
thing.
the hardest thing to find.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I just got really lucky that that people are down to play on my project. Like that's
awesome.
something that I think maybe isn't as easy as I.
No, so again,
perceived it to be at the start.
everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason. Your
Yeah.
timing of doing this. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, but
Yeah.
all this coming together, making the jump and moving on to do this, having people like this that all comes together and makes it
Yeah.
not easy but easier to where it's
Well-
like shit. This worked out really good.
And it's really validating to have people be like, yeah, I will do that with you. Like it's not like touring is not necessarily fun in the sense that you're traveling a lot. You're
Not as
sleeping in
glamorous
weird
as it might
places.
look,
Yeah, it's like I don't want to say it's not. It's really fun, but it's not
Eating
easy.
a lot of Taco
Yeah,
Bell.
eating a lot of Taco
We'll
Bell.
show that video.
It's a lot. So for people to be like, yeah, I'm down to do that, and it's like I'm not paying them thousands of dollars. I'm like, you're gonna make nothing and drive around in the back of a van.
I mean, you're all
You
kind of
wanna
on a
lose some
similar
money?
level, right?
Yeah,
so you're helping each other out to get to that next
and
level.
I think
that you wanna be.
I think as a musician, like going on tour was my dream, and I think that's true for other people too. So they're like, yeah, if I get a chance to like take my 2 vacation days from my minimum wage job and go to some random city and play some shows, most people would take that any day. And
when it's your passion.
yeah, exactly.
That's
something you
incredible. I
wanna
mean,
do,
so I started to really delve into you once they kind of introduced me to who you were. Music right up my alley. I love the lyrics and stuff, but the DIY kind of concept, I know it's different than you're not recording with like a live drums and a live guitar and you're doing rhythm and all that. You have Atlas in Motion helping you out.
He produced some stuff.
Producing
yeah.
stuff, which is killer. The music, the overlays, like those
Yeah.
patches and stuff are awesome. That's what drew me in. Transitions and things like
Yeah.
that. But the DIY thing, like, was that's hard to do because when you perform, are you having like patches and just playing the music?
So I started when I first started performing live, which actually some of y'all were at the first
Yes,
show I played.
yeah, LA, yeah.
Yes.
The live audience was also a live audience at that show.
Sweet, you bring the live audience
Yeah.
with you everywhere.
Yes.
But yeah, I was playing with just backing tracks. So I would essentially just take out the guitar and the vocals from the track and then just play it and play over it. And it's funny because I use pitch correction when I play live. It's like training wheels is always how I describe it. It just lets you go for more stuff.
Yeah.
And I was literally having to like change that between songs, and like my live set was so stressful because I had so many things that I had to like balance. And so over the years, I've just kind of like made it easier and easier on myself, which allows me to have more stage presence and more banter and more. I just get to enjoy myself a lot more rather than being like, I'm trying to keep all these
Plugins
plates
and-
spinning on those little sticks. Like,
And
I don't have
that
to do
that
anymore.
one man band concept, that's
Yeah.
kind of what you're describing.
Yeah.
And I love that because that's something that I think like the conversations that we have that we identify with is I feel like I'm a lot the same way. The gift and the curse.
Yeah.
Which I've heard you talk about is that part to where, hey man, you're here. Get a person to help you do these types of things so
Yeah.
you can thrive at what you're doing. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, but by the time I explain to them this, that, and the other and get them here and pay them X, I should have just done it, and I could have
Yeah.
done it, and I know what I'm getting out of it. So kind of becomes a little bit of that curse of being able to grow, because in a sense, because you're just, I'm doing it. I'm a one-man band. I got this.
And I would say, I don't know if this is true for you as well, but it's mostly a function of just money. Like truly, it's like
1000%.
if I'm either going to pay someone to produce it or I'm going to produce it myself, I'm going to learn how to do it. Like I have the time.
Which is awesome, but
Yeah.
there's a certain part where you got to let go. You know,
100%, yeah.
start to
So when
like
he signs a record contract,
Yes, yes,
that's when he lets
exactly,
go.
yeah, once there's money
They'll
involved.
find people
when
for it.
they're paying
I know
for
he's
it. I'm not.
When money starts happening, that changes everything.
So tell us about FOMO, because for people that know what FOMO is, that is not
Yeah.
what this is, and tell us the meaning
Yeah.
behind FOMO.
Yeah, so I had this concept like years ago that I wanted to just make a song called Fear of Moving On, because I was like, that's a great breakup song. It would be like...
Yeah, you're my
that's
inspiration.
We've had so many shows about this with this guy, so it connects
2
very
weeks
well.
ago, yeah.
Interesting. We'll have to circle back to that because I don't know what that's about. I thought it was a cool concept for a song, and I was like, Fear of Moving On, I'll write that at some point. I remember in this relationship I was in, I was telling my girlfriend and our friends, like, I have this idea for a song, it'd be really cool. Then I go through a breakup, and I'm like, I think I got an album now.
Yeah.
like I already
just
have
turned
the
into
title.
10 tracks,
I have
yeah.
the title, I have the inspiration. And yeah, I was just like, I think it's a cool, I've always been afraid of a lot of things in my life, and the concept of like going through a breakup and having to like not have a person in your life anymore was kind of the idea for the whole album, the tour and everything. It was just like, I'm afraid to go through this, but I don't have a choice. So
Yeah, I mean, it's deep. So like, I'm reading your lyrics. I'm listening to the music the last few weeks, especially heavily going into the show, and it was a bad one. It was a bad one. But the way you wrote it, and I think you really have these metaphors for, I mean, fear of abandonment, fear of all these things that are deeper into those lyrics than even just the breakup. I gotta know. It's like a romance movie. I've been wanting to know. Do you guys still talk at all? Or no?
not at all.
Okay.
No, and
I
that
needed
was
to know that.
that
Closure.
was that was for my own good. I think I tried to like keep that door open of like, I'm gonna not be hurt by this, and I was like, I'm just too hurt by this that I don't gain anything from like watching someone else live their life and be happy. I'm like, it's just easier to pretend like they don't exist. So
Good for you. I had to
Yeah.
know. I'm like, the whole time I'm listening, I'm like, I need to know how
Yeah.
the movie ends.
I think it'd be crazy if I was still friends with her after that.
Well, once you
We
go
have to bring
big,
a
she's
whole album
really
out.
going to want to be. I mean, you're big, or I mean, when you go
Yeah.
up, she's going to be like, baby.
Well,
Yeah.
again, like you said, which kind of
Like I
leads to
wrote
my
an
next
album.
question. There's that it was inspiration for
Yeah,
a debut
definitely.
album. So,
Yeah.
so I've talked about this with me. There's things that happen that you're like, what the hell? This is the worst thing that's ever happened. That you look back later and go, this is maybe one of the best things that's
Yeah.
ever happened.
Yeah,
so
I'm
however
not
you
mad
look at
about
that, it's inspiration that
Yeah.
drove you to do.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think also like when I was in that relationship, I wasn't making a lot of music, and I wasn't really like
You were down.
chasing my passion at all. I was kind of just like complacent and happy, which for that part of my life is really cool. I was like, yeah, I had everything figured out. I didn't need the music, and now I'm like, I need the music more than ever.
Right.
And then I kind of like oriented myself with, oh, that's what I've always wanted to do, and I lost sight of that because I was in this other headspace, and now I'm back into it, and I'm like, cool, I actually want to be a musician, not a person that's in a relationship. Which
Yeah, I
aren't-
mean-
you can be both, but
Yeah,
For me, I had to
that's
do
why
one.
I'm like, my question is too, like, when you fall in love again, now are we going to get love songs or what? Like,
I
what's
hope
going
so.
on?
I
Like, I can't wait for the next
Yeah.
love song album.
From the honestly from the live standpoint, I'm like, I want to start writing love songs or something that's not a breakup song, because it's just like, it's not like my show is a downer, but it's like breakup
You
song.
lived in
breakup
that
song, breakup-
space for a long time.
Really,
so you
to
wanna
be
kinda
honest,
like the
the
next thing,
music
yeah.
is so cloudy. I'm like, I'm pulling up, I'm getting gas and stuff earlier, and I'm like listening. I've just been listening to him. I was like, who is it? I'm like, listen to him. My 13-year-old, I'm like, he's on the show. Listen to him. The music's so cloudy and melodic, and it gives me all those feels, like when these lead-ins and then the drops and the transitions. So like, you could literally stick with those incredible little riffs you're throwing in there and have love songs to
Oh,
it.
yeah, I
fun
think
songs.
it works both
it's
ways.
very like you're
surprisingly,
like,
yeah.
I like want to cry, but like I want to just drive down the coast and listen to this album.
Like a
you
volume
know?
2 where it's the uplifting.
Yeah.
I'm out of that.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I
the
hope that I
conversation.
start writing that kind of stuff, and I've been like just getting back in the studio and starting to write and stuff, and it's definitely going more positive. It's not like I don't have that to write from anymore. I don't feel that bad.
Well, so that's why
Yeah,
I wanted to kind of
killer.
let's expand on that. Your kind of just your inspiration in general with music. He kind of touched about what he feels and hears from what you're doing. So like, where's your inspiration? Kind of how you got into music and even got to this point. What inspires you?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I played hockey, so a lot of
I know the guy behind the
My
camera.
dad's-
He's going to jump in here at the
Yeah.
end with this too,
My
but
dad's in
I
the
know where you
crowd.
got that from.
Well, so there's a lot of, I mean, we played travel hockey, so every weekend we were going on road trips to play in Ohio, Toronto, random, all over the Midwest. And you listen to a lot of just pop radio. So I was lucky enough to grow up in the early 2000s where pop radio was incredible. And I feel like we would just either be playing CDs or we'd be playing the radio and just listening to all these incredible, like,
What were you? What were you?
I mean,
I have that
so-
question. What was Dad playing in the house or whatever? when
So
you
there
were-
was, I definitely think The Cure, I feel like Green Day, Gin Blossoms, and then he's more like punk, so there was like Ramones, Social Distortion,
Yes.
that kind of vibe.
Social D. Let's go.
And then there was like the pop music of the time, which was probably like Train and Coldplay and John Mayer,
all those guys.
and then you start to get into like Ed Sheeran and Jack Johnson and like all those people. Which I think sort of like steered me into, I think Jack Johnson was my first real inspiration where I was like, this is so disrespectful, but I was like, I can do that. Like it's not that complicated, but then you realize that it is complicated to write something that simple and have it still resonate.
The difference is I've never said I can do that. So you starting there allowed you.
Yeah, that was a huge step of going like, I believe in myself enough to start trying to write songs. And then, the first 20 songs I wrote were terrible, and then you get one that's good enough and you start putting them out, and then it just kind of snowballs and
Get that feedback. And so I love you mentioned John Mayer in there. So what I love, and this is on your social media, it was very recent. You got, was it John Mayer's radio show?
Yeah, he has a show on Sirius XM.
Tell us a little bit about that, how that happened, and anybody here, again, go on to Comfort Club and look this up. It's a great couple posts he has. Talking with John Mayer, you talk about touring, you talk about Taco Bell, which we catered Taco Bell today just for this
Craft
guy,
table
even
Taco
though
Bell.
he didn't want anything to do with it because he's done with that. He's trying to detox and get out of it.
man.
But we had to bring it in just because I was
I'm pretty sure
so
I still have
excited about
Dorito
it.
tacos
So
on my
tell us
fingers,
about
so I can't
that.
lie.
How did this happen? And tell us about, how awesome was that?
Yeah, so I became a huge fan of his like 10 years ago or something. I went to a concert with a girl I was dating at the time, and it just changed my life completely. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a musician. And so I started trying to do that, whatever. Became a huge fan, have followed him ever since. And I saw that he's doing this radio show, and I was like, I'm going to listen. So I'm working from home on my computer, listening, just spamming the call button, trying to get through. And I finally get through to the person who's on the kind of like screening the people who are going to be on. And they're like, what do you want to talk to John about? And I was like, touring diet and juice cleanse. And they're like cool. They're like, cool, good luck. And so he's going through taking calls, and he's like, what is this one about? Like juice cleanse, touring diet, what is that going to be about? So he takes the call. And the reason I said it is I got back from tour and I was doing a juice cleanse, like a 3-day juice cleanse from Pressed. And so I was like, that was kind of my whole life for those 3 days. So I was like, this is an interesting timing to like get to talk to someone about that. And I was like, so what's your, I finally get through and I'm like, so what was your touring diet like when you were first on the road as a 22-year-old or whatever? And, he goes into this anecdote about Don Rickles and something. Basically, he was like, something on the road is going to get you no matter what. And for you, it was Taco Bell. Like, you didn't have a choice. You were going to get screwed by Taco Bell.
And I was like, it's good. The way he brings it, he alludes this whole long story about Don Rickles, all this stuff, then it's about Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Whatever you start doing mid-tour that works, you're going to do it every single night. So I'm going to teach you a mantra that I've only ever told other artists, so I'm going to share it here on the channel. And maybe some super fan will find it a deep cut somewhere that I did say this before, but to my knowledge, I haven't. When you are on the road and you're eating Taco Bell twice a day, that's all you can do to get through, and you're starting to beat yourself up for what you're doing. There is a saying I have had for the last 15 years on the road, and I want you to never forget it. This is it. We'll fix it when we get home.
Wow, that definitely, I'd say that expands beyond just diet, for sure.
He's like, if that's your vice, like, it's going to probably grab you on the road. And then you just have to learn to, like, bounce back from it when you get home. And I was
Keith
like,
Richards had his own vice.
yeah,
You have Taco
there's
Bell.
like many a vice in the music industry, and Taco Bell is probably the best of the
It's
evils.
everywhere. You're like, cool. I know within a mile of here, there's a Taco Bell. It's
there
going to be
always
like
is.
Taco Bell. At
And
home.
it's funny because like I didn't even think about it this way because my diet does typically just involve Taco Bell. But when you're on the road,
Body
and
by
it's-
Taco Bell, me
Yeah.
too. Right? At
Ryan's a
43
Taco
versus
Bell
like
guy.
23, 20. Yeah, it's a lot different.
But when it's when it's midnight and you're in like rural Indiana, that's the only thing that
You're
is
limited.
actually open. So
And you know it's going to be consistent.
and it's pretty consistent. Yeah, it's surprisingly inconsistent. But,
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
I'm trying to get a sponsorship here, okay?
Yeah.
well, I mean, clean
Well,
it up.
now they're going to up their game. They're
Yeah,
gonna, hey, we need you
They're going to have to
to.
up it up in Indiana.
Well,
They're
get
up
me
your
there.
reviews.
I'll come in and start helping them be consistent.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's what they need
Look
right now.
at you.
Did I tell the John Mayer story well enough? Did I get that all
I mean,
across?
what you took from it is the most important part. I
Yeah.
watch it. I'm a big John Mayer fan.
Yeah.
We've talked about him before with you. I definitely see a lot of the style and inspiration. I
Yeah.
hear that John Mayer in a lot of your songs and those hooks and everything, the lyricism. I love it. So the fact that as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Right? Like,
It was
what's
definitely like a
and I was
dream.
just like listening to
Yeah.
it over and over. I was showing Tracy. I'm like, "This is awesome." But so my question to you was really like, that's gotta be crazy. I couldn't imagine if that was
It's-
me and I
yeah.
get Michael Jordan on the phone or something. And I'm like, holy shit, Jay-Z,
Yeah.
like mind blowing. So that's
It's
your
weird,
take from
and I
that
think
was-
this is probably a credit to him is that he made me feel so much like I'm just friends with him, which is
That's all-
probably how
Yeah.
good celebrities like interact with everyone. Is you're like, that guy's my friend after
Yeah.
that, and he's like, yeah, not quite.
Yeah,
we're
don't-
hanging out
Never,
at juice
never
cleansing.
call me again. Lose
Yeah.
my number.
We're going to eat Taco Bell and juice cleanse together, John.
But it did. It felt that way.
It really felt that way. Yeah,
And that's
like,
why I kind of wanted to, like, I was waiting
Well,
to talk to you about it
so-
because I was going,
I
it
say
felt
we,
that way. Exactly.
I say we throw in a bonus story
Yes.
here. So I
Great.
met him. I went to a show in 2017 with my dad in Paso Robles, California, at a state fair, and we did the meet and greet. So we meet him backstage, and you guys are both fashion guys. So I was wearing this hundreds, like quarter zip thing that was like pink and green, and we like walk up and for the meet and greet and start talking to him, and he's like, "That's a really cool jacket." I'm like, "Oh yeah, the hundreds is like super dope. Bobby Hundreds is like
Yeah.
my guy. Like I love that guy."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, why don't we send Bobby a picture?"
Oh, shit.
So he pulls out his phone. We take a selfie together. So it's me and John
Wow.
Mayer
Yes.
taking a selfie. He sends it to
To
Bobby
send to Bobby
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
And again,
course he
I go like,
got him in his
cool.
phone.
I think we're friends, but we're probably not. And then the next day, I DM Bobby Hundreds on Instagram, and I go, "Hey, this is random, but like,
Did my friend send you a
Did John
picture?"
Mayer send you a picture of us?" And he goes, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, he did." And he was saying how cool you were, and I was like, "Dude, what? Like, are we friends?"
I think you are now.
Did we just become best friends?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's after the phone call or before the phone call?
This is 5 years before the phone call.
Yeah.
You should have
Yeah.
been like, did you
Yeah, yeah.
tell him all that?
I thought about it, but then I was like, I don't want to double dip on that. And then
You
he's
don't
like,
wanna
I
lose
don't
him.
remember what
That's
you're talking
the-
about.
lose him on
That's
that.
the third
right,
conversation
right.
because you're friends now.
Yeah.
Right,
You
right.
made it through the first two.
Yeah.
Now you guys just kick it. You'd be like, hey, John, you remember that time?
Remember,
We
bro?
took that photo?
Bobby
I
Hundreds,
didn't bring it up.
2017. Let's go.
I thought about I told him that we met him in Paso Robles, and I don't know if he'd remember it, but it's like,
We're BFFs,
you're really trying hard to not put someone in a position where you're like, do you remember me? And they're like, no. So I'd rather just like operate under, I don't know if he did or not.
So Bobby Hundreds, I want to stay on that real quick. We're
Yeah.
jumping, but I want to go to you. Actually inspired me and showed me a clothing company I think that has inspired the look here.
Yeah.
Online Ceramics.
Oh yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Online
so
ceramics is
so tell me about
insane.
online ceramics because you introduced me to it. I've
Yeah.
never heard from anybody but you. I follow
Yeah.
them, so I see it.
Yeah.
But you turned me on something I've never heard of.
Wow.
That's dope. Bobby Hundreds is dope. I know about that. Again, there's a niche of people.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot of our audience that like anything we're talking about don't know.
Yeah.
Online ceramics. Like, where'd you find them?
I
and
found
kinda
them
what's
through
that
John
inspo?
Mayer.
Okay,
Because so when he went into, he plays with the Grateful Dead at this point, and they had been like one of the companies that's on the lot, like making Grateful Dead merch because there's so much bootleg merch for those shows and stuff. So they made bootleg merch, and then he got involved with them and like started wearing their stuff a bunch, and that's when I found it.
Awesome.
But then I like shifted it because I don't want to just like copy someone,
Yeah.
but I want to like take inspiration. So I'm
Oh,
like, I don't want to
awesome.
just like be Grateful Dead John Mayer, but I want to be like adjacent to that.
I
where I'm
do
like-
this all day long
Yeah.
as a profession. So
Yeah.
you're 100%.
No, that's what it is.
It
It's like you have to borrow
You're-
inspiration.
You're
but then,
always gonna
rinse
that
it,
looks like
and then-
X. That looks like X. And that's
Yeah.
and that's music too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's pulling inspiration from 2, 3, 4, 5 people and creating your own
Yeah.
sound and doing that. But people are going to go, oh, I hear this, I hear that. Like that's what it's all about. So
Yeah, I just love they do a lot of like oversized prints where like it'll be the whole shirt's printed basically.
Brett, grab me that sweatshirt laying there behind the bag. So this is the one that I purchased as soon as I saw it. That reminded me right away. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to buy something from, but I said, you know what? Instead of buying online ceramics, I'm going to buy Comfort Club.
There you go.
Supporting my boy. So we got this one here. I mean, come on, the little teddy bear.
teddy.
We got the Fear of Moving On tour with the little
little
confused,
frowny
kind of sad
face.
face, little sad. Love it, because then we got the tour dates on the back.
Yep.
I'm assuming this is sold out. This is
I don't
gone.
know. I think I
it's
have a
sold
couple
out.
of that.
and you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
get these.
Yeah,
And
you'll
if you
never
can't-
be able
they're
to
really
find
You
these
can't.
ever
It's
again.
it's eBay like
John
$500
Mayer
or
got
something.
10 of them. He's like, I'll bring these back. when we're home
So here's
today.
here's what I love about this guy. Besides, so the creativity, the artistry, the like just being able to off the hook,
Yeah.
like the social media, everything. That's a big thing. What I love, one of my favorite things is you did a call to Billboard
That was classic.
to let them know about sales that you
Some
generated
yeah.
over the weekend
gotta
for some
report
LA
that
shows.
stuff. Yeah,
you got to
you gotta-
report your sales. Sold a lot of CDs, so you want to make sure it's recorded so you can
Yeah.
move up the charts. Like
That's right, yeah.
I mean, how was that? How was
I
that
mean-
calling into Billboard?
I mean, yeah,
and
so-
recording. You got like 15, I think. 15
I think they're
CDs.
yeah. I tried to not like fudge the numbers too
Yeah,
much.
no,
'cause-
You got to stay on point because
yeah,
they'll come out
yeah,
and find
they'll-
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to
One
like you don't
CD.
want to like get like ranked on Billboard and then they go and check the numbers and like you
And then
actually,
you're off.
Yeah.
They're like, we
Yeah.
can't trust you anymore.
Yeah, so I gave them a call and I just let them know that I had like sold some CDs over the weekend, like 15, 20
Just on
CDs.
point. It was so
And,
classic. The video.
Yeah, I actually got voicemail on that one, so I don't know. I'm sure they got it. But I didn't.
I got the point. Someone read it. Someone listened.
Yeah, I didn't-
So I wanted to know about that too because I come from an era of, pushing CDs out of backpacks and
Yeah.
going from here to Vegas to Arizona, and you're just literally buy my CD. I only got $5. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I saw the video and I'm like, wait. All my youngster employees and kids tell me, Dad, they don't do CDs
Scan the
anymore.
QR code.
Yeah.
With the Spotify.
So you,
I mean,
you did it.
Physical is definitely back, but it's back with vinyl, I think, more than anything. Like, that's super popular. But CDs are so much more affordable. And it's like, if someone is really just trying to get a souvenir from a show, then a CD is more viable than.
So you're saying I should hold on to my VHS movies too?
I think you should.
I keep
yeah.
fighting the wife on that. These are going to be good things one day.
Or
Yeah.
buy a sweatshirt with a QR code that takes you to Spotify or Apple, and you listen
Yeah,
to the album.
exactly.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah,
Oh man, so
but-
CDs though, I saw you open that crispy box and it gave me nostalgia.
Yeah.
You're like opening it up and getting the wrap. You were talking about taking the
The
wrap
little
off
silver.
on the,
little
on
Because
the diamond
the
pads.
way that they like saran wrap it,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like they put the little fold right in the corner and you can't get your nail under it. So then you're like,
either lose
and then
a
you
tooth-
scratch along the
Yeah.
like the little rivet side and it goes brrr, and you still can't get into
Oh
it.
yeah, no, we'd rub them on tables. Like
Yeah.
I remember just being so excited.
And
as I
then
saw
you
it
crack
first
the
100.
corner and then you peel and it does like a little
Yeah.
peel around just the corner and then everything is.
Then
like,
it reseals
then that- yeah,
magically.
then it
You're like, what
reseals.
is happening? How is this thing just keep resealing itself? Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'll definitely have to.
It was fun though. I've always, I guess, been a designer in some ways, and
So talk about that. So
Yeah.
you day job. Do
yeah,
you
my
have a day job? What is
I
it?
do have a day job. I do social media and marketing for my dad's company. They do like audio visual, like projectors, cameras, LED, all that stuff. Rent it to companies that do live events. So I get to be the social media arm of that and tell them about all the cool stuff that our companies that we supply, what they're doing with all the gear that we give them. So
I love that, and I feel like, and you can support this, that part of doing that, having that ability, is super helpful in promoting yourself.
definitely, yeah.
And just it does connect, even though there's differences. It connects a lot, and I think that's what gives you the strength to do what you do to promote yourself, because you have to promote yourself at this point. you know,
Yeah,
to get
definitely.
to where
Yeah,
you're at.
anything that I learned there can go towards music, and I try to bring anything that I learned from music back towards that. It's harder to go from a creative environment to a corporate environment and have anything fly. Like I can't, all the stuff that I think is really funny, I'm like, I can't do that through like a company perspective. But some companies are like that, like Wendy's,
Yeah,
for example,
edgy,
like their
yeah.
Twitter is insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's some great. Yes, I love it.
So
edgy.
Yeah, they don't, yeah.
You good on you. I know you went to college.
Yeah.
You graduated from Michigan State.
Michigan State,
as
yeah.
Spartan.
Yeah.
Holy moly! So he went to
yeah.
college and got his degree didn't want to give up on that. I read that, like, you want to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You just wanted to make sure.
I mean, I wanted to give up on it more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Everybody wants to give
like
up.
I genuinely don't believe that college is worth it. I mean, unless you're going to be a doctor or something
Scientist,
else.
lawyer, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think it's worth it. And I wanted to almost like say I'm going to not get a degree and then go try to fight for myself in the world. But I'm like, that's just really an uphill battle. So,
Well, you got that in your back pocket,
That's
and,
right.
and I don't think in a year, 5 years, 2 years from now, you're going to need to worry about that with the
hope
music
so.
that you're doing right now.
I hope so,
It's awesome stuff, man.
Thank
I'm
you.
not lying. It's good stuff.
So you know what I love? I keep talking about your social media because I think that's the biggest thing that anybody and we all connect to is someone you can follow. You love their music, you love their artistry, you love their photography, whatever it is that connects you. They want to do it. Every time knowing you and having been following you for a long time and kind of the journey you've been on, I'm going to say the success, even though you maybe feel like you're just getting started. I look at that as success because we all measure success differently. I think that you've hit the level of success by the fact that you just completed a tour and launched a debut album. And
All him.
Yes.
This is not a team. That's what blew
and that
me
doesn't
away. I'm
mean
like,
that you're
bro,
not
this is
going
just
to
him.
do this, but
All the credits.
there's success. I think you've already hit that point. So I've been following that for a long time. So I love all the little things that when it's all, hey, you come up and there's like, there's a song today or is it some, holy shit, John Mayer or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of little big
another
things
one
in
I
there.
loved was kind of your radio spots, the radio station
that
ideas
was
that
cool
you did.
too.
That to me, like as an outsider, I've never done those. I don't know how those are done, but I've listened to the radio my whole life to go, hey, this is so-and-so, you're listening to 93.
Dude, that was good.
So I'm like,
This is how it's good.
I'd probably put your
he's
name in
doing,
there
he's
next
doing
time.
these. He's doing these. Like, how
Got
cool is
faces
that?
built for
It's
radio.
really cool. Yeah,
So, like-
I did like a college radio campaign because I think that market is really interesting. I would love to be a person who gets to go play a bunch of random colleges, and that's like in music and small musicians, that's a really good way to make money. Is like they pay really well. So if you can get a couple college gigs, like you maybe can lose the day job.
And then following too.
Yeah,
You're gonna get
exactly.
an
And
idea.
it's like, and I'm thinking like if I get to put this music in front of people who are like curating radio shows for small colleges, in 2 years they're going to be at Sirius XM or at whatever the LA one.
100%. You're planting the seed, and
Yeah.
also, I mean, your music speaks to all. I mean, that
hope so.
demographic for sure.
I've been trying to crack that code. I'm like, I feel like it makes perfect sense here, but it's just not. It's like you do have to do it just every single day for probably 10 years, and then eventually you go like, oh, people are starting to like just barely catch on. Like
It'll
you
catch
really
like
have
a
to, like,
wildfire.
just
That's
keep-
what happens,
yeah.
right? You just push and push and push and push, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'm not getting this rock up this hill, and all of a sudden the land flattens out, and you're like, whoa, there it goes,
Exactly.
and you're not gonna be able to keep up.
And I was talking to someone yesterday actually about this because I was like, my album came out a month ago, like doesn't feel like it's catching on yet. And he was like, have you ever been early to an album? Like, what was the last album that you were like, I love this on day one?
yeah,
It's
right,
like 10 years, 20 years, 40 years later.
Even
that
ones
you're
you
like,
want to love.
Yeah.
Like you're
It
like,
takes
this is
a
gonna
lot
be
of
it.
time.
And you're like,
Well, you even had like CW. You had like a show.
Yeah,
that you
I
got your
got
music
music
on.
on
which
the TV
I think
show.
your
Yeah.
music as well. When I
Thank
saw
you.
that,
tell us
I'm
about
like,
that.
is
The TV
perfect.
show. Go.
Yeah,
Tell us
that was
about
crazy. So there's a company that represents my music for sync placements, which is like TV, movies, and all that. And I've been with them for like 2 or 3 years now. And they emailed me a couple months ago and were like, hey, we got this one that's like probably gonna lock in. It's for the show All American on the CW, which is like a football show. I think it's based on a true story. I don't know who the guy is, but grew up in Compton and then started playing at Beverly Hills and kind of went through all that. So they were like, your song's gonna be in it, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
all those little things. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm speaking to is like the radio spots and the show and the John Mayer and like obviously the tour, but like things that you're not expecting or you're
they're-
hoping something is going to happen, and little
Yeah.
things like that are like big.
They're
like,
huge.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Victories, man.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and then like from a social media standpoint, it's like that's stuff where you get a chance to be in front of people again and go like, hey, I know that I'm usually just being like song, but like how about TV show?
Yeah,
How
look
about
what happened. Yeah.
radio? How about random placement? Like that's the stuff that kind of catches people's attention, and then just helps legitimize the whole thing. Because it's like the more that you can get those on your resume, people are like, oh, that guy must be for real. And that's where like numbers and stuff come into play too. I know you guys talk
Get
about
over
that
here.
a lot.
That's all. That's all it really
let's
takes.
get the man in
Is
here.
Yeah.
It takes the now with the mass media of like, there's so many people like trying to make songs and trying to
Yeah.
make videos and podcasts.
Get next
Trying to
time.
make
We're gonna get you in
podcasts,
here.
like they know stuff. It just takes
You just have
one
to keep
following
doing
of people
it.
to be like,
Yeah.
that is this person's legit. Follow.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
whirlwind.
Yeah, you just keep
Dad's
hoping.
here. Watch out.
Let's get. We're gonna. We're getting.
I don't want to do it without you.
We're getting into the show here. We gotta get Pops
Yeah,
in here.
we
He's
gotta
behind
get
the
some
camera.
42.
He's got
Yeah,
the hockey
thank you.
background. He's still playing. He's in Carlsbad all the time here.
Yeah,
By us. Cheers.
You did
Hey,
well. You did really
congrats. Tell us a little bit about this guy. How you're feeling about it, and I mean, what do you see? What's happening next with this guy? What do you think?
Well, I got.
Wait, let's get this. I want you to look. Okay, go.
Thank you.
Is
Pure
this,
hockey.
Is this on,
This guy-
like, backwards
this guy
too?
is
I think
pure
we might
hockey.
need to get that figured out.
Well,
Hey, he's
Hey,
bug.
Don't
He's
touch my
wiretap.
jersey.
thing-
Don't touch my jersey.
this thing saw his chest hair and just went in.
Operation? Are you talking to the feds? Check him for
There
a
you go.
wire.
So
There he
make
is.
sure they can hear you when you're
Is this
talking.
audio visual stuff?
Like you-
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're gonna.
Since 90.
So the reason I'm having him on, so this everything he was talking about, we're gonna have like this massive jumbotron in the backyard. He's gonna sponsor the podcast. So
Are you gonna have the?
there's a subtle little intro to
Yeah, the
getting
sphere.
everyone in.
Sphere?
Yeah.
Mitchell sphere.
Getting us
Yeah.
sponsored.
Crazy.
Sphere.
Yeah, the Mitch sphere.
Yeah. Anyway, I just was listening to this whole thing, and I think the last thing you guys talked about that was really cool was all those things are building the foundation, like building a house. That's what I see, and that's what's really cool. That's what I think is what he's done really well out of his bedroom, because that's where that all started. So that was impressive. But what I really like is the story where, while they were hockey players, really young, I went and bought guitars and drum sets and all that kind of stuff. Right? And I just started planting them all over the house because I'm like, I love music, Ramones and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't play, I just play a little guitar. And so one day his brother really starts getting into it. He's got a brother a couple of years older, and he's in a punk bands in Detroit now. And so we're talking one day, his name is Brendan. So we're talking one day, we go, we need to get another guitar. We need this style, that's what we need. So we're looking around, we don't have any money, man. We're still like, that I just broke. And we walk in Collins, we go, he never touches that guitar. So I grab his guitar.
Little did you know.
We take it down and sell it, man. And Colin goes, where's my guitar, man? It's in Brendan's room. It's that new one right there.
Do you know what I'm working on back here? And you just
It's
took
cool.
my guitar.
So that guitar though was like,
That's
if you
so
think about AC/DC, it was like a Gibson SG. So it's like
Oh.
that was technically my first guitar. But then my second first guitar was a Stratocaster, which is what like a John Mayer, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix play.
Yeah.
So I feel like that really like gave me the ability to start clean and be like, I'm not gonna be AC/DC. I'm gonna be like.
So again,
the
everything
blues.
happens for a reason.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So you're like, asshole, what are you
Yeah.
doing? But then
Yeah.
it took you to where
So I
you're.
was gonna ask, but apparently this doesn't seem like this is the thing. But like, full candidly, like,
Yeah.
were you cool with him going into music? But obviously, your other son's going into, like,
110%.
you've always been supportive and
110%. They were great hockey players. They did everything you ever asked them to do, both of them. And I coached both their teams all the way through, and they were played at prep schools and all that kind of stuff. But one day I said, so what do you think next year when you go to Michigan State? Because his brother went there and played on this D3 team. Colin goes, I'm done. He goes, I'm not having another guy over my shoulder yelling and screaming at me every 5 freaking minutes. I've had it, and shifted completely. He goes, I haven't had fun in 3 or 4 years, actually, which was pretty hard for him to tell me as a hockey guy my
hard,
whole
but you
life.
keep doing it.
And he kept doing it because of the, all that jazz. And it's what he knew. I mean, right? And then they start taking off on the music thing, and it was really cool to watch that whole thing develop. And the way you built it, I'm amazed. It's building the business. It's what
You
it
built
is.
a business. He's building business.
Well, it's funny, the foundation thing too is like, from I guess my point of view, it's like you kind of are laying the foundation, then you're like, how much foundation can it's like it's almost like you're building foundation for like a 80,000 square foot house.
wide?
You're like,
You could be.
you're like, how much do I have to keep? Can I start going up yet?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're like, keep building that foundation, and you're like,
foundation.
I'm ready. I'd rather just have like the 4,000 square foot.
But
I
those
don't
things
need,
you built are 4 corners.
yeah,
though.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, the things
And
that
I'm
you
just
built
really
takes
just-
a lot.
A time, and that's the thing. And it
Yeah.
can take longer for others than others, and it's not from talent standpoint. It just takes from who are you in
You got
front
some
of,
over
and
there too.
who recognizes you, and all that. But just know, the foundation part, that you might be building the base of the wall. You might be building the catches. You just don't know that. It's going to come very fast when it
David jersey, too.
does.
Oh, there you go.
I have friends that have done the music thing and they've been successful, and you're like, it takes a lot of time and knocking on that door and building that foundation, and you're just keep doing what you're doing on the right path. You already have the ability to have a day job. Some of these guys didn't have the ability to have day jobs.
Helps a lot. I want to say that too. I know probably not a lot of people are doing music out here, but it's way easier to do music when you have the foundation of having a day job, as opposed to trying to like make something that doesn't make any money be your full-time career. And this is now we're at this part of the show.
This is where we're
Things
at.
are shifting gears really quickly.
I did hear the story first before I know if I wanted to wear this
can you
shit.
say it again?
Yeah.
We're busy.
We bought in.
We're busy
Yeah.
right now.
That's awesome.
We're trying to sell merch. So
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
a
well,
link.
that's
There's a
obvious.
link. Hit the link. Buy the merch.
And we only
It's
had
live.
4 hats, so we had to take Tracy's.
Yeah. Sorry,
Thank you.
we stole from the live audience.
But we'll give them
Yeah.
back. We'll get more. That's
That's
fair.
fine.
Yeah. Anyways, I want to say something else. Your guys' show is awesome. I really enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. Thanks for having me.
We're building the foundation.
That's right.
Right.
And you were sharing Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's like,
Building the
So
foundation.
tell us like here's where you're at. So you finished the tour. New York was the last stop, right?
Yeah.
New York was the last stop. Album dropped. So now it doesn't obviously stop there. So now
Yeah.
as much as it's kind of like now you got to do things like this, but bigger, because this is for the 4 of us that are mostly here. These are the people that listen to it and they're here. So unfortunately, no one's going to listen to the show.
they stay.
Hey, our dog already left, so screw this.
She
Yeah.
was mad.
Just
But what's the plans moving forward? What are the goals? What are you going?
I mean, I want to make sure I give the album enough time. Like, I want to keep promoting it. I think the music industry tells you that you need to just move on to the next thing immediately. Right. And part of me wants to do that and be like, let's just figure out another song. Because, again, songs are like at-bats, or I don't know what another analogy for it would be, but the more you can put songs out, the more chance you have of someone being like, oh, that goes viral. And then all of a sudden people go, oh, there's an album. That's really cool. Right. But I don't know that I necessarily believe in that approach of like, if I just have some viral hit that people are going to like backtrack and find the other stuff. I'd rather just try to promote this stuff and give it more of a chance than just immediately abandoning it and trying the next thing. So.
You do you, and that's the thing. Like music, like, and it's not everyone in the music scene. There's some people that are do what you feel is right, and that's going to be the biggest thing. And dude, this album is great. Just continue to push it and milk it a little bit, because that's going to be where you go and find a collabo artist like you're trying to do. They're like, get on this, and then they go, oh, by the way, check out his album, like you said. That's out. See through Peekaboo to back to his album. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the goal, I guess, is just establish the album as like, that's what I want people to come back. Like, if you think about me, like, go play the album instead of like, go here, go there. It's like, just try the album out.
You're going to
try the album
perform.
out.
So do you have shows booked here?
I don't have anything booked right now. The tour was pretty intensive to book. And I think, well, so my goal is to move back to LA pretty soon, like probably in the next couple months. And then hopefully start playing more shows locally there and just in Southern California, and then maybe doing like a West Coast run as well. I just have to book the whole thing. So
yeah, no big.
Yeah, exactly.
And work.
Oh, and I have a day job.
And hang out with John Mayer. I mean,
Right.
Hey, the
I
good news
don't know
is-
if I'll have time.
Good news is we have 5 followers. One of them is Rick Rubin, so hopefully
there
he's
you
on
go.
Friday. We're good.
there you go. That's a good start. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Follow at Comfort Club.
dude.
Thanks for having me on.
Colin,
Yeah.
Stab
done,
Brett.
boys. Well
Thank
done,
you
boys.
both.
Thanks for having us.
We appreciate
Yeah.
you.
It's been a blast.
Chasing the Cool, the podcast.
And go, I knew this guy.
Yes, exactly. So, hey, love you guys.
By the way,
Yes.
go Celtics.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take my 50s and
He-
crispy $1 bills.
He always finds a way to ruin the show somehow. We had a
Go
great show
Celtics,
going, and this guy has to end it with this shit.
generate
Oh, wait.
All right, what do we say? Game
Oh,
7?
wait.
Oh!
Woo!
Go McDavid.
Night,
you
They're
go.
going to win it. They're going to win it.
Yes.
Knock them out.
That was
All right,
like,
let's-
is that Lee
let's get a
Corso that
picture.
does the-
Yeah.
that does
Picture,
the-
guys. Let's go. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.